Sometimes the most spectacular royal jewels aren't the ones we see every year at state banquets. They're the pieces that arrive quietly in black tin trunks, sit untouched in palace vaults for decades, and then suddenly reappear in a way that makes the entire world stop and stare. On October 12, 2018, Princess Eugenie did exactly that. When she stepped out of her Rolls-Royce at St. George's Chapel, she was wearing a tiara worth $13 million, a piece so rare that before her wedding day, it had never been photographed on a living person, not on the Queen Mother, who owned it for 60 years, not on Queen Elizabeth II, who inherited it in 2002. In fact, the only proof this tiara even existed was a single, faded black and white photograph tucked away in a French jeweller's archive. Today, I want to take you inside the story of how Princess Eugenie brought the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik back from the shadows. We'll explore not just the tiara itself, but the 200-year-old diamond brooches she wore in her hair that evening, and what these choices tell us about a young royal forging her own path. Let's open the vault. To understand this tiara, we first need to meet Dame Margaret Helen Greville, and she was quite a character. Born Margaret Anderson on December 20th, 1863, she was the illegitimate daughter of William McEwen, a Scottish brewing magnate who made an absolute fortune. Her mother, Helen Anderson, was married to a porter at McEwen's brewery. Only after that man died in 1885 did William McEwen finally marry Helen, when Margaret was already 21 years old. In 1891, Margaret married the Honourable Ronald Greville. When her father purchased the stunning Polesden Lacey estate in Surrey for her in 1906, she transformed it into one of the most fashionable houses in England. After her husband died just 2 years later, and her father in 1913, Margaret found herself an extraordinarily wealthy widow with a singular passion: collecting jewellery. But Margaret Greville didn't just collect beautiful things. She cultivated friendships with the highest levels of British royalty. She became particularly close to Queen Mary and to Queen Elizabeth, who would later become the Queen Mother. In fact, when the Duke and Duchess of York, the future King George VI, and Queen Elizabeth got married in 1923, they chose to spend part of their honeymoon at Margaret Greville's Polesden Lacey. That's how intimate she was with the family. The Queen Mother later described her friend warmly: "So shrewd, so kind, and so amusingly unkind, so sharp, such fun, so naughty, altogether a real person, a character." Love her or loathe her, Margaret Greville understood one crucial thing. If you want to leave a lasting legacy with the royal family, you don't give them silver candlesticks, you give them jewels they simply cannot refuse. When Margaret Greville died on September 15, 1942, she left her entire jewellery collection to Queen Elizabeth with the touching words, "with her loving thoughts." In 1943, right in the middle of World War II, a black tin trunk was delivered to Buckingham Palace. Inside that trunk lay one of the most spectacular jewellery collections ever bequeathed to the British royal family. We still don't know the complete inventory. The palace has never released a full list, but we know it included at least 2 tiaras. One was the Greville diamond tiara with its distinctive honeycomb pattern. The Queen Mother adored this piece. She debuted it in March 1947 during the family's tour of South Africa, and it became one of her signature tiaras for the rest of her life. The other tiara was our star today, the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik. And here's where the mystery deepens. The Queen Mother never wore it publicly, not once, at least not in any photograph we've ever been able to find. The Greville Emerald Kokoshnik was created by the legendary French jeweller Boucheron in 1919 for Dame Margaret Greville herself. Now, let's talk about what makes this tiara so extraordinarily valuable. The centerpiece is a cabochon emerald weighing 93.7 carats. To put that in perspective, that's nearly 20 grams of pure emerald, roughly the weight of 4 nickels. It's set in the very center, surrounded by a halo of rose-cut diamonds that make it absolutely glow. On either side of this massive central stone are 6 more emeralds, each also surrounded by diamond borders. That gives us 13 emeralds total in the tiara. The entire piece is composed of brilliant and rose-cut diamonds, pavés set in platinum. The design features 3 horizontal bars, top, middle and bottom, all connecting at that spectacular central emerald. The way the tiara is constructed, it extends far around the wearer's head, almost forming a complete circlet at the back. Diamond experts at the UK retailer Stephen Stone have estimated this tiara to be worth £10 million. That's approximately 13 million US dollars. That makes it the most expensive tiara in the royal collection that they've studied. So why didn't the Queen Mother wear it? We can only speculate, but there are some fascinating clues. First, the design. The Queen Mother had another Kokoshnik tiara in her collection, the Persian turquoise tiara. Interestingly, she had that one altered so it no longer had the typical halo shape of a Kokoshnik. She also revised the top line of the Greville diamond tiara so it no longer resembled a traditional Kokoshnik silhouette. It seems Kokoshniks simply weren't her preferred style. Second, the fit. This tiara extends very far around the head, almost forming a complete circle at the back. For someone who wore tiaras regularly, comfort matters. The Queen Mother tended to favour taller, more vertical tiaras, rather than sleeker bandeau-style pieces like this Kokoshnik. Whatever the reason, the emerald Kokoshnik stayed hidden in the vaults. When the Queen Mother died in 2002, Queen Elizabeth II inherited the entire Greville collection, including this emerald masterpiece. And just like her mother before her, she never wore it publicly. For 16 more years, the tiara remained locked away. By 2018, royal jewellery experts weren't even entirely certain it still existed. Then came October 12th, 2018, when Princess Eugenie arrived at St George's Chapel, Windsor Castle. Royal watchers around the world were watching closely. Her wedding to Jack Brooksbank had generated enormous interest, coming just 5 months after Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's spectacular ceremony in the same venue. Many royal jewellery enthusiasts had predicted Princess Eugenie would wear the York diamond tiara, the same tiara her mother, Sarah Ferguson, had worn at her own wedding to Prince Andrew in 1986. It would have been the sentimental choice, the traditional choice, the safe choice. Instead, Princess Eugenie made history. She stepped out of the 1977 Rolls-Royce Phantom 6 wearing the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik, a tiara that hadn't been seen publicly for 75 years. The reaction from the jewellery world was immediate and stunned. This was unexpected on multiple levels. First, royal brides traditionally choose tiaras featuring diamonds or pearls. Coloured gemstones, especially emeralds, are exceptionally rare for wedding tiaras. Second, this particular tiara had never been worn publicly by any member of the royal family. It was, in every sense, a debut, not just for Princess Eugenie, but for the tiara itself. Princess Eugenie made another unconventional choice that day. She didn't wear a veil over her face during the procession. This was quite unusual for royal weddings, where long dramatic veils are practically a requirement. But by skipping the traditional face veil, Eugenie allowed the tiara to be the star from the very first moment. There was no waiting for the vows to be exchanged, no dramatic lifting of tulle to reveal the tiara. Princess Eugenie's spectacular choice was evident from the instant she stepped out of the car. The overall effect was modern, personal and deeply moving. Now, if you look closely at Princess Eugenie's jewellery that day, you'll notice she thought about every single detail. Her earrings were a wedding gift from her groom, Jack Brooksbank. They featured diamond and emerald drops, 1.5 carat cabochon green emeralds surrounded by 7 round, brilliant diamonds. The earrings perfectly echoed the emeralds in the tiara, creating a cohesive, intentional look rather than simply piling on sparkle. Her white and green bouquet also coordinated beautifully with the emerald theme, featuring lily of the valley, stephanotis, hints of baby blue thistles, and white spray roses. It was styled with purpose. There's deeper meaning here as well. According to gemologists, emeralds have traditionally represented hope. They're said to promote friendship, peace, harmony, and domestic bliss. The stones are believed to enable the wearer to both give and receive unconditional love. For the evening reception at Royal Lodge, Princess Eugenie changed into a completely different aesthetic. She wore a blush silk gown designed by Zach Posen, inspired by the beauty of Windsor Castle and the surrounding English countryside. But she didn't go without royal jewels. Instead, she added something even more historically significant, a hair slide belonging to Her Majesty the Queen. According to the official palace statement released after the wedding, Princess Eugenie wore a hair slide belonging to Her Majesty the Queen for the evening reception. These pieces are known as Queen Victoria's wheat ear brooches, and their history stretches back nearly 200 years. They were originally commissioned by William IV in 1830 for his wife, Queen Adelaide. When William died in 1837, they were passed down to his niece, the young Queen Victoria, who had just ascended to the throne at age 18. Eventually, they came to Queen Elizabeth II in 1952 when she became queen. There are actually 6 of these brooches in total. Each one is shaped like a stalk of wheat, crafted in diamond, silver, and gold. The design is delicate, almost naturalistic. You can see the individual grains and the curve of the wheat stem. Her Majesty has worn them in various ways over the decades. Sometimes she pins them to her outfits as traditional brooches. But occasionally, and this is where it gets interesting, she wears them in her hair. In fact, the Queen was photographed wearing one of these wheat ear brooches tucked into her hair during a state visit to the United States in 1981. So Princess Eugenie's choice to wear them as a hair slide for her evening reception wasn't just borrowing a piece of jewellery, it was borrowing a styling tradition directly from her grandmother. This served as Princess Eugenie's something borrowed for the evening portion of her wedding day. On November 18th, 2025, the tiara made its second public appearance, and the choice of wearer was deeply meaningful. Queen Camilla wore the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik to the annual diplomatic corps reception at Windsor Castle, making her only the second British royal ever to wear it publicly. Now you might wonder, why is this significant? The timing is crucial. Just weeks before this reception, Princess Eugenie's father, Prince Andrew, had been stripped of his royal titles following years of scandal and controversy. The York family was under intense scrutiny. Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice found themselves in an impossible position, caught between their father's disgrace and their own desire to support the crown. Queen Camilla had dozens of tiaras she could have chosen for this reception. Royal watchers had actually expected her to wear the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, which had just been removed from an exhibition at the King's Gallery the week before. Instead, she chose the one tiara, most closely associated with Princess Eugenie. Remember what we said about emerald symbolism? They represent friendship, peace, harmony, domestic bliss, and the ability to give and receive unconditional love. Many royal commentators interpreted Queen Camilla's choice as a deliberate silent message of support to Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice during one of the most difficult periods of their lives. It was a gesture of solidarity wrapped in $13 million worth of diamonds and emeralds. The royal family rarely speaks openly about family tensions or internal struggles, but sometimes they speak through jewelry. And on that November evening in 2025, the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik spoke volumes. So there you have it. The remarkable journey of a tiara that spent 75 years in darkness, from Dame Margaret Greville's collection in the 1920s to a black tin trunk delivered in the middle of World War II, to 60 years of silence in the Queen Mother's vaults, to another 16 years after Queen Elizabeth inherited it, to Princess Eugenie's stunning wedding debut, to Queen Camilla's gesture of family solidarity. This is what makes royal jewellery so endlessly fascinating. These pieces aren't just expensive objects sitting in glass cases. They're storytelling devices. They carry memories. They mark moments. They send messages when words cannot be spoken. I have to admit, I find Princess Eugenie's jewellery choices that day remarkably sophisticated. The emerald tiara was bold and unexpected. The wheat ear brooches were subtle and deeply traditional. Together, they represented exactly who she is. Someone who honours history while making her own mark. Which piece surprised you most? The fact that the tiara had never been worn before 2018? The 200-year-old wheat brooches? Or Queen Camilla's meaningful choice to wear it 7 years later? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the royal vaults, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories about the history behind the sparkle. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.